Hey guys, this is Pam, and I am back for chapter 1 of Love Must Be Tough. Alright, I'm giving you guys a quick overview. This is one of the resources that I've actually used in my marriage. It's absolutely wonderful. It gives you absolutely wonderful advice. I know some of us have been to counselors and everything, and their goal is pretty much to get the two parties talking and try and work out the problem if both parties show up. But if not, the counselor tries to give the one party that does show up information to cope with the situation and kind of go at it alone, in the absence of the other partner. But this resource right here by Dr. James Dobson, Love Must Be Tough, is an absolute must-have for your library if you're married, even if you have not gotten married yet. It helps point out some things that you should be aware of, and you'll begin to notice some red flags, especially if you and your spouse are growing apart. Josh, go in the room. So let's jump right into it. The first chapter, and if you didn't get a chance to see the intro last week, watch that video. Matter of fact, I'll put a link here so you can click on it if you haven't watched it. But chapter 1 is called With Love to the Victims. And what Dr. Dobson does is he gives two examples in this chapter of a marriage that has reached the point of no return, and then another troubled marriage that has not quite reached the point of no return yet, but it is very possible that it can be saved, even in the midst of the circumstances of bringing another woman into the bedroom for a menage a trois to appease the husband. Okay, well, we're going to get into that one. Alright, so the first story, and the names are changed, for, the sake of the safety of the actual partners. So he starts off saying in this chapter that thousands and thousands of letters and calls are placed into their office every single month, and they give very intimate details of their lives and hopes to receive some kind of help for their marriage that's in trouble. So the first story that Dr. Dobson gives us is about a man called Roger who calls in and asks for help with his marriage. What happened was, he actually sent in a letter. His wife's name is Linda. What happened was she got up one day to go to the store to go grocery shopping, and she told the children to behave themselves and everything, and she would be back shortly. But 6 hours later, when she hadn't returned, her husband started getting kind of worried. All kind of the stuff started going through his mind. Was she kidnapped? Was she raped, beaten, or something worse? So he went to the cops immediately. And they said, sorry, Roger, we can't do anything because she has to be missing at least for 48 hours. Mind you, those next 48 hours drove him absolutely mad, almost insane. And I don't even think he waited the whole 48 hours. He hadn't heard anything. Her car was left in the shopping center, locked, empty. So what he began to do is, because he didn't want to wait around for the police, he hired a well-known police detective to help him out, to just kind of get some kind of answers to save his wife, find out where his wife is at, or at least find out what happened to her. So the detective begins to do some detective work, and upon questioning friends and family, it became apparent that his wife, Norma, left of her own free will. Yeah, I guess it happens. We all hear them stories about, hey, I'm going to the store to get some bread. I'll be back. And I'll be back turns into never coming back, or, for the worst case scenario, some people may never hear from them again. That's kind of disturbing to hear stories like that, but it's true. It really does happen. Joshua, get down. So, once he found this out, shortly thereafter, get down, don't turn it on. Shortly thereafter, Roger actually receives a letter from his runaway wife. She wrote him a letter explaining what happened. Essentially a Dear John letter. But it was, Dear Roger, I've run away. And she moved to Kansas with another married man. And she said that she didn't love him anymore. And she would be back in a few months to fight for the kids, for custody of the kids. Boom. So, not only does he have to deal with the wife whom he's loved for 14 years. But now he had to deal with breaking the news to their 4 children, 4 small children, mind you, that mommy has run away. You know, she didn't want to be married to dad anymore. You know, he was still totally in love with his wife or whatever, but you know, how throughout the years, you guys know that if we don't focus on our marriage and constantly grow our marriage and work on our marriage, it's really easy to grow apart, especially when life really begins to happen and we start bringing kids and building a family and careers and stuff, and we get so busy trying to build a life for our family that we actually grow apart. And then those things that we're working for and sacrificing for, we actually begin to neglect, you know, to our own detriment. You know, that's not how it starts off, and that's not the plan, but somehow it happens and we become indifferent towards one another. And sometimes it just gets to the point where we don't know what to do, and instead of giving it 100%, you know, and making this, deciding we're going to make this thing work no matter what, because in the beginning we took vows to love one another for Joshua says hi. Okay, say hi, Josh. Then go back there with your brothers. Go ahead, let me finish. We're eating a few. For richer or poor, for better or for worse. You know, in some cases, a lot of us experience the for worse, you know, and we may experience worse more often than we experience good, but those are the vows we swore before God and before man. And somehow along the way we just kind of forget those things. And what Dr. Dobson says is that in Norma and Roger's cases, Norma, she was exhibiting pure selfishness, and she was focused more on her happiness instead of the well-being of her whole entire family. So instead of seeking to work this out, you know, she just decided to up and leave. Now, he did say, were there signs along the way throwing up red flags that maybe, hey, we need to work on this, or you know, something is going wrong here. I can't quite put my hand on it, but something is going wrong here. We need to run a diagnostic on our marriage and make sure we remove any problems or work out any kind of problems that seem to be arising, but we just can't really put our finger on it just yet. Instead of doing those things, she decided to bail, you know, and decided to start another life. And Roger also mentioned that when the court case came about, not only did he have to deal with the devastation of his wife leaving him, having to tell the kids, but when she actually did come back to fight for custody, the judge gave her full custody of the kids. You know, now the kids moved 500 miles away to Kansas and everything, and he has to deal with life. A house that he built a few years ago with his own hands for his family, he now has to live in alone. You know, so that was the example that Dr. Dobson gave about a marriage that was at the point of no return, because the wife totally made up her mind, boom, this is what I'm going to do. I could care less about how you're feeling. I don't want to talk to you. I'm going to just go start my life over, and to top it off, I'm going to take the kids too. You know, so she was, and that's a very extreme, but it happens more than not. And not just in Christian homes, you know, but it's happening in a lot of places. You know, people that don't profess to be believers or believe in any kind of religion or whatever, they're having the same problems everywhere, you know, because we really haven't been taught how to relate to one another and work through these hardships, you know. So he gave that first example and gave a little bit of advice there. And I would really want to encourage you guys, if you have not purchased this yet, or even if you are able to download the Audible version, I believe it's an Audible version now on Audible if you have Audible, or if you have a Kindle, you know, you can have the Kindle app for your Android or your iPhone. If you actually have a Kindle, you know, you can download it and follow along with us. I would really love for you guys to engage and leave comments on this. And we can grow together. You know, I'll tell you some of my experiences and what I use and how it helped me in my marriage. But let's go to the second example now. The second example was really, it was really an example. Now, the next one, he didn't really give the husband's name, but the wife's name was Linda, and of course it was changed for sake of, you know, protecting the people whose stories have been used here. She wrote a letter to Dr. Dobson. Joshua,
come here.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, just close the door. I get it in a second. I get it in a second. Just close the door. Okay, so give me a second. My son is hollering about the. Wait a minute. I can't even pause this. I can't pause the poop. I gotta keep recording. Give me a couple seconds. Well, like more like 4 to 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. So this second example, Linda writes a letter to Dr. Dobson explaining her situation. Now, her particular situation, she began to notice that her marriage was deteriorating. You know, her husband was an accountant. He had a assistant bookkeeper that helped him at his firm. She was a recent divorcee. You know, so Linda knew the bookkeeper and everything, and she had been working for him for years. But what began to happen was this woman began to confide in her husband, and of course he was there listening, like any man in that position, you know, even if they don't start off, but somehow it kind of just grew, and you know, one thing led to another, and they became involved sexually, you know, and Linda knew that she was excuse me. Okay, I get that. She was losing her husband. And what she she was like literally almost at the point of frantic. So she actually went to a counselor that gave her some jacked up information. Now, this was supposed to be a counselor or somebody she could trust that was and I hate to say this because sometimes some people just, you know, they misinterpret things. And she went to a Christian counselor. He misinterpreted the scripture, and he told her that as long as she submits to her husband, no matter what it is, you know, that God would save her marriage. Now, you can tell by me just explaining that that's a gross misinterpretation of what the scriptures mean by submitting to your husband. You know, so, but that's another whole teaching right there. But we're not going to get into that here. But just so you know, he misinterpreted the scriptures, and she took that at face value, what he said. And you know, when you're panic stricken, you kind of become like one direction focus and have tunnel vision to your own detriment. And what happened was, at this point, you know, she began nagging her husband and complaining and stuff. And when we get into a state of panic in our marriage, what we don't realize is we're human, but the natural reaction is like panic, complaining, nag, and constantly, hey, you're doing this to me, and why are you doing this, and why are you doing that, and why are you not listening to me? Totally wrong, because you drive the other spouse away. You cannot get their attention. That's as effective as you hollering at a toddler saying, get down from there, get down from there, get down from there, get down from there. Eventually, they're just going to tune you out, and they're not going to listen. That is not effective whatsoever. Been there, done that, personally, experienced some pain behind it. And thank God for this book. This resource came at a time when I really needed it. And it really helped me pull myself out of that vicious cycle and kind of regain some ground in my marriage. And so that's what he's telling her here. So what happened was, the counselor that gave her the jacked up information, counseling to how to deal with her husband, she took that information, and she talked to her husband. She said, well, you know, whatever you want to do, I'll do it to save our marriage, you know, whatever. You know, he said, you know, why don't we invite the bookkeeper into our bedroom? Let's have a menage a trois. She was like, well, if this will make you happy and this is going to save our marriage, and Anybody, well, okay, I'm not gonna pass judgment, but okay. So she allowed it to happen, and what happened was the exact opposite of what she thought would happen. She thought, okay, I'm pleasing my husband by doing this, and this is going to save our marriage. But the exact opposite happened. By her allowing him to bring in the bookkeeper, a woman he was already infatuated with and falling in love with, caused him to fall deeper in love with this woman, by inviting her into the bedroom, and allowing her to, and just inviting her to have sex with her husband and her, so boom. All other kinds of stuff started ensuing from there. Wait a minute, Joshua. Go put it back. Go stick it back in there for me, please. Go ask Elijah to help you put it back in the vacuum cleaner. Bye, baby. Bye. Okay, so, yes, that caused everything just to really kind of go downhill from there. So, she finally got in touch with Dr. Dobson, and Dr. Dobson just began to explain some stuff. He said, your marriage was not yet at a point of no return. I'm sorry, hold on one second. I think something's burning in the kitchen. Joshua, Saya, come here.
Mom, look up, please.
All right, I caught it just in time. It wasn't burning. It was just, it was getting there. Okay, so, it had not, although all this craziness is going on, it still had not reached a point of no return. Now, there's a couple different things that could happen at this point, but this is a very critical point, a very critical moment in her marriage, and she has no time to waste whatsoever. Matter of fact, I'm going to open the book, and I'm going to go right to what I'm going to tell you. Exactly.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, okay. He did ask, he said, would you have agreed with the previous counselor's approach? What would you have done? What kind of advice would you have given her, or would you have told her to divorce the bum and get him out of her life? Or is there a third alternative? And so what he begins to do is, at this point, is just be kind of break it down just a little bit. He begins to explain the 3 errors that he noticed immediately she made. And by dealing with this and being trained to deal with stuff like this over the years, it's just kind of obvious to him. Her first mistake, wait a minute, Joshua. Her first mistake was not recognizing the threat of a young, beautiful, let's see. I'm going to put it in his exact words. He said, we must never underestimate the power of sexual chemistry existing between an attractive, needy, available woman and virtually any man on the face of the earth. That is absolutely true. Because sometimes guys just don't care. It's like, oh, free booty? Yes! So. Okay. And the second error was that after observing her marriage was going downhill, an extremely important moment in their relationship, when an appropriate reaction from Linda might have pulled her playboy husband back from the precipice, but she was ill prepared for the task. That's the second one. Ill prepared to deal with the particular task and situation in her marriage and going to the wrong type of counsel. And the third error was her panic, which is irrational, and her reaction to it. So, she could see the handwriting on the wall and just everything that was going on, but what she didn't realize was that her husband was in a state of confusion, and if she had just made a few slight different moves, things could have turned out a little bit differently at this point, but since it didn't, we just got to kind of roll with the punches and take it from here, so and that, my dear friends, is all that I'm going to give you on this chapter. But like, I will leave you with this this last thing. Dr. Dobson said that virtually every counseling program now in existence for such families is designed to bring together two people who can agree at least to discuss their problems. Or if therapy is offered for a single partner, it is directed at strengthening that individual to cope with the crisis and go it alone if necessary. But he said that his purpose, thank you, that his purpose and of his book here and his counseling is unique. And his exact words, he said, but our purpose here is unique. We want to help one spouse maximize the chances of preserving the marriage, as in Linda's case, and to survive till the long night is over. It is an ambitious undertaking. Alright guys, so and he said there would be few bitter divorces if young husbands and wives knew how to draw their drifting partners toward them rather than relentlessly drive them away. All right, guys. So we will pick up on chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called Panic and Appeasement. You guys are going to love this chapter, especially if you are in this particular situation or something similar, on how to handle it and how not to handle it in the wrong way. But if you guys are anxious to read it, and you're enjoying my overview so far, you know, I'm trying to keep them as short as possible without missing the important points, so you can get the full gist of it, especially if you're not able to purchase the book and follow along with us, you know. But I know some people may be having some kind of financial difficulties, you know, so I kind of just wanted to be a blessing to you guys and kind of go through it as best as I could and point out the most important points for you guys, so at least you have something to work with. And when you're able to get it, you can get it and read it and study it for yourself and apply it to your life. All right, I really love you guys. Thanks for watching. You know, the kids are getting restless. It's time to get them fed. You know, Christmas Eve is tomorrow. You know, so but I wanted to make sure I got this video made and out to you guys. All right, love you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Let's Stay Married if you haven't already. We're on Twitter now. Follow us on Twitter at Let's Stay Married. That's one S. Let's Stay. The S between Let's and Stay is one S. Let's Stay Married. On Twitter. We're gonna do a Pinterest page pretty soon. You know, just kind of bringing a lot of different things. Like I said, we have a lot of stuff planned for you guys, even to in the future. We're thinking about doing couples cruises and everything. It's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited, guys. Thanks for being on board. Thanks for listening to me talk. I love imparting to you guys and just sharing stuff with you that could help you in your life and in your marriage. All right, so leave us a comment on the blog, go to the website, engage with us on Facebook and the different things. Let us know your opinion. If you have any kind of feedback for us, you know, if there's a book or something you want us to review and go over with everybody, or just questions about marriage in general. You know, like I said, we're going to have counselors from time to time, and different people on live hangouts, just, you know, just to share, you know, and to help you grow your marriage and keep your family solid and strong. Like I said, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next video. We're going to go over chapter 3, talking about panic and appeasement. If you haven't seen the intro to this book, go ahead and click on the link down below for Love Must Be Tough intro, and enjoy, guys. Pass it along, share it on your page so other people and married couples can be blessed, and, you know, just maybe they might find something that's worth them using in their marriage. All right, and like I said, if you haven't got it or don't know where to get it from, I'm going to put the Amazon link where you can purchase it, a hardback cover, or you can download it and you can have it immediately. All right, guys, I'm done talking. Love you. Happy holidays. Happy well, you will see another video before the new year, but all right, guys, I'm done. See you next video.